Well, thanks again for being here. Let's take a look at each of these pieces of this map of narrative therapy, or an introduction to narrative therapy, and see what each one of them tells us. So let's begin here with this, what you could think of as the first island. So I'll rub this off. These are palm trees, by the way. So let's imagine that you're living in a situation where things aren't the way you want them to be, or that you've got a sense of yourself that somehow doesn't fit with you. This is not the reputation I want for myself. One of the things that we can do in narrative therapy, this is called Statement of Position, Map 1. One of the things that we can do is talk with people for long enough so we've got a sense of we're understanding what we're talking about. And then we can ask, if you were to name what it is that's not right with you at the moment, that if you were to name the sort of problem that's giving you trouble at the moment, what name would you give it? So for instance, if it was gambling, you might call it gambling, or you might call it the casino, or you might call it going downtown and spending money, or whatever you would want to call it. And the idea here is that whatever you call it, it's the language of the person themselves that you're interested in using. So we might name whatever it is. It could be this blueprint for parenting that I inherited, or it could be this experience of anxiety that I'm grappling with. It could be lots of different names. That would be the first thing that we would do with this. And having named a problem, and the name of the problem, what it does is it separates the problem from the person, rather than I am depressed. This depression which comes upon me, this cloud of darkness which sometimes threatens me, or this anxiety which insinuates itself into my life, or this blueprint for parenting which kind of has me smacking my kids when actually that's not what I really want to do.
So Donald, just on this naming, you say you use the language of the person that you're speaking with.
Yeah.
So is that something you agree together, or do you just sort of start using that name without negotiating it, with the person?
In fact, it is negotiated.
Right.
So as I'm listening to the person speak, I might wonder with them, as we've been talking, what would you name what it is that we're talking about?
Yeah.
Or I might offer, it seems like this blueprint you've inherited doesn't work very well. How does that fit with you?
Right.
But either way, it's the person that I'm speaking with who decides what it is that we're calling it.
Cool.
And having decided what it is that we're calling it, then what we can do is we can begin to look at what effects is this problem having. The problem might be reputation, whatever the problem is.
Yeah.
What effects is it having in your life?
Right.
And so we might be interested in asking, what effects is this problem having in the past? What sort of places does this problem turn up? At home, at work, at school, at sport, at church, all sorts of places. And if you were thinking about this problem and its effects, kind of, well, what effect does it have for you physically? And what effects might it have for the way that you think about yourself and about others, the sorts of thoughts that are in your head? You might say, what effects is it having on your relationships, at home, at work, in different places? Does this problem have kind of allies, in the sense that does it come by itself or does it come with others? Perhaps depression and anxiety sometimes come along hand in hand.
Together.
Yeah. Does this problem affect your sense of your own spirit? Your spirituality, or your sense of who you are? What is this problem talking you into about yourself? A whole raft of kind of questions which expose the problem, its effect, its tactics, the way it works. Its allies, all that kind of making visible. What is this problem and what's it doing in your life? So that would be the second thing that we'd be interested in doing in this kind of first island discussion or statement of position, map 1. Then the third thing we would do is we'd stand back from all of that and maybe even read through it together. If I was doing it on a board or on a piece of paper, read through it together. Or if I was doing it in a sand tray, I might have this all kind of mapped out in a sand tray and just look at it and say, what are all these things? And then ask the person, is this okay with you? Are you for this, or are you partly for this, or are you not for this? Are you for something else? In other words, we invite the person to take a position on the presence of the problem in their life. Hence, statement of position, map 1. Oftentimes, when people look at the effects of a problem in their lives, when you ask them, is this something that, you know, would you have invited gambling into your house quite so quickly if you had known what it was that it was going to do in the future? Oftentimes they say no.
Yeah. But it's important for them to verbalise that.
Yeah, yeah, and there may be effects that are going on which are actually quite agreeable.
Yeah.
You know, I like going to Sky City.
Yep.
I like the time. I like my friends there. I like smoking dope. I like the way that I spend this time with my friends. You know.
Yeah. So the position might be complex.
It might be. Yeah.
Partly for, partly against.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. If it were another way to say that is, if it were possible for this problem to be somehow different in your life, would you be interested in that?
Right.
And then whatever it is that they say, we're going to ask them to justify that position. In other words, you ask them, why have you taken this position? What is it about this that's important to you? Tell me, why have you taken that position? And in that place, oftentimes the person begins to argue for why it is that they would want to move away from this. They would want to move towards something else. And that's statement of position, map 1, or the first island.